Hey there, Nurse Awesome. Lots of y'all are getting ready to start your first semester clinical, and lots of you are a little bit nervous about the patient experience. How to be confident, how to be comfortable in all of those kind of odd personal space situations that you're going to find yourself in during clinical. Pretty valid question, concern. Honestly, I didn't really think that I would have a problem with this when I started school. I am a very calm person. I'm an older adult. When I started, I've always been in lots of different situations, so I didn't think I was going to be nervous. Boy, was I wrong. The first time I stood outside of a patient's door, all I could remember thinking was, please don't let me kill them, over and over in my head. Really. And I was going in to change some sheets and help somebody set up lunch. And all I could think was something that was that extreme. I wanted to be perfect for my patient. So the first thing that I had to do personally was adjust my expectation of myself. I had to figure this out. You know what? You're going to mess up, period. You are going to make some mistakes, period. So I started there, and I knew that I was going to experience a lot of things that I had never seen before, and so I had to cut myself some slack. I did not have the expectation of perfection, and that helped me a lot. So if you can, and I know it's hard because most of us are type A personalities, try to remove the expectation from yourself that you're going to be perfect in every single thing you do, because you won't be. And the more slack you can cut yourself, the better you're going to feel. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be a slacker. If you mess something up, go home, learn about that, correct the way you do things, and don't do that thing wrong again. That's all that has to happen. You don't have to berate yourself and decide that you are an utter failure just because you did something wrong or fumbled through it the first time, right? So the thing is, just like everything else, and you'll hear me talk about this so much in any video I do, you're going to get out of life what you focus on. If you focus on the positive, then that's what you're going to get. Focus on the things you're doing right, not the things that you feel like you're jacking up. So before you guys think I'm all airy-fairy, I'm not saying that focusing on the positive means you're never going to mess up. What I'm saying is you're going to get more positive because you're going to see more positive, right? In other words, yes, today I was able to change the linens on my patient's bed with no problem. Wow, Melissa, you rock. The next time I go to change the linens on the patient's bed, I'm going to feel super duper confident in that. And that's the vibe that I'm going to put out to my patient. That's what they're going to feel. And that's going to feed me feeling better about myself, which is in turn going to make me make better choices. It's just like this humongous circle of positive energy that you put out, and that's what comes back at you. Call me airy-fairy, if you will. So there are going to be things that you botch, but there are going to be lots of things that you don't botch. So let's use the positive, the things you don't botch as fuel, and learn the things that you screw the hell up. Let those be your teacher. I promise that's the best teacher. Some things you only need to screw up once, and you will adjust yourself permanently and never make that mistake again. I promise. You have to kind of also try to have like a decompression tool that you use for when you're finished with school. So let me just give you this example. You leave school for the day, clinical for the day, and you've had 50 things go wrong. And all you can think in your head is, how heavy that is. It doesn't matter if it's with friends that you go have drinks with, or if you're reading some book, or going home and dancing, or drumming, or whatever it is that you do to put yourself back into your groovy place. You need to not forget to do that after clinical. Sometimes you're so tired and overwhelmed that you don't think about those things. You have to readjust yourself. You have to look sometimes for the positive. It's not always apparent, but it's really super important that you take the time to do that. So let me give you an example here. My first semester clinical, I was probably the third day there, maybe the fourth day. I hadn't been there very long. I go into the patient's room. The nurse wants for me to hang an IV piggyback of potassium. Doesn't seem like a really hard thing to do, especially not if you have some experience. But when you're a brand new nurse and you don't want to hurt anybody, and all you can think of is, oh my God, potassium kills people, you're a little bit cautious, right? And you go really slow. And boy, I was like a turtle. I was checking the IV compatibility with D5 half normal saline and potassium. I cleaned the port with alcohol probably for well over a minute. I hung the IV bag. I did everything really carefully, and about halfway through, the nurse came in and she sort of berated me. Okay, wait. She dogged me out in front of the patient about how slow I was being and how ridiculous it was for me to be checking the compatibility, and what kind of idiot was I that I didn't know that potassium and D5 half normal saline were compatible, right? So I could feel myself getting really anxious and really feeling like crap, like that little bell in my head was going off that was saying, you see there, you are a dummy. And I hung the IV quickly and I left. And I went back about an hour later. Lo and behold, I had forgotten to drop down that solution of D5 half normal saline. And so my little bitty 50 ml bag of potassium was like this big around, you guys, because the primary solution was backfilling into the piggyback. I felt really dumb. But what I learned was I need to take a breath and not allow things to kind of rattle me. And I need to do what I know to do, regardless of what anyone around me says. So when I left that day, I could have really easily chosen to get really pissed off at that nurse and angry, and I could have allowed that to make me fearful. I could have believed her when she said that I was an idiot and that I didn't have any business being a nurse if I didn't know that potassium was compatible with D5 half normal saline. And I would have shut down, and I would have shrunk back. Instead, I said, I'm not going to really be beaten by this. I'm a brand new nurse, and I'm happy that I learned and I checked the solution before I gave it to my patient, Anyway, long story here. Situations can scare you sometimes, and you can either be shut down by them or you can expand yourself through them by focusing on the positive. Some way, halfway through my first semester, I started to find the thing that I was really good at in nursing, and I started focusing on that in every single situation. So even if I was having kind of a rocky day, I knew that I had that one thing that was really kind of like my groove space in nursing, and I would focus on that, even in the smallest of things, and it helped me feel empowered, which in turn helped my patients have more confidence in me, which in turn helped me to be more confident around my patients. So focus on that feeling when you find it, and whatever you have to do in the middle to get yourself to that place, do it over and over again. Fear is a learned response, and you don't have to buy into that. You don't have to be afraid of patients. You don't have to believe when the situation tells you that you're not the smartest nurse. You can understand that you're a brand new nurse and that you're on your path to becoming Nurse Awesome. So I'm not sure that I have helped tremendously here. Mostly it's all up here. Doesn't matter what you do. It's all up here. And if you can recreate those less than optimal situations, you can truly have an awesome first semester experience. And by the time you get to second semester, you'll be dealing with those crazy situations with patients like an old pro. Now, I work in an ICU now as a real nurse, and I still find situations that leave me going, what? You want me to put what? Where? I still have times when I am really less than confident. But I know now how to quickly recreate the situation in my head to focus on the positive, to focus on the thing that I can do. And that makes all the world of difference. So I hope you guys have an excellent experience with your patients. Remember, they need your presence more than they need anything else that you could possibly do. And as long as your heart's in the right place and you're taking the time to make wise choices, your patients are going to benefit and you're going to be absolutely awesome. Peace, y'all.